Okay, so a huge multi-front war has just exploded in the Middle East. We're talking the US and Israel versus Iran. And in just a matter of weeks, wow, it's already dragged in other countries, it's shattered the global economy, and it's left pretty much everyone asking the same critical question. What's the end game here? So let's break down exactly how this crisis is unfolding.
And that question, it's being asked at the very highest levels. You see, after some classified briefings back in Washington, U.S. lawmakers are really starting to sound the alarm. They see this war escalating incredibly fast, but they're not seeing any clear strategy or, an exit plan from the administration. And that uncertainty, that's the central tension we're going to unpack right now.
So how in the world did we get here? Well, it all kicked off with a sudden, coordinated military campaign that quite literally decapitated Iran's leadership and just plunged the entire region into absolute chaos.
On February 28th, the war began. A joint U.S.-Israeli bombardment campaign just rocks Iran. And on that very first day, this is just a stunning development, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in an attack. Now, in response, Iran's assembly of experts moved with incredible speed, appointing his son, Mojtaba Khamenei, as the new leader just one day later. So the succession was immediate, but the shockwaves, well, they were just getting started.
And the human cost inside Iran started mounting almost instantly. According to officials in Tehran, that initial bombardment was devastating. We're talking more than 1,300 civilians killed in less than 2 weeks. And they're also reporting that nearly 10,000 civilian sites, think homes, healthcare facilities, have been hit.
And this conflict is absolutely exacting a price on American forces as well. The Pentagon has confirmed that since the start of what they're calling Operation Epic Fury, about 140 U.S. service members have been wounded and 7 have been killed. This shows you this is far from a one-sided fight.
Iran's response? It was swift, it was ferocious, and it came from multiple directions at once. You see, the initial strikes didn't contain the conflict at all. They basically ignited a regional firestorm that spread way beyond Iran's borders.
So Iran's strategy becomes really clear when you look at how they responded. They're not just, defending their own territory. They've launched missiles at Israel, they've hit U.S. bases in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Iraq, and, this is crucial, they've expanded the battlefield to the economy. They're targeting oil infrastructure in neighboring Gulf states and have flat out declared that all U.S.-Israeli economic interests are now legitimate targets.
This has created an incredibly tricky diplomatic mess. I mean, countries like Qatar, which used to be mediators, are now being directly attacked. Their foreign minister really summed up the frustration, pointing out that Iran is targeting nations that don't see themselves as enemies, pulling the whole region into a fight they desperately want to avoid.
And this is where it hits home for everyone. The regional war immediately triggered a severe economic crisis that is being felt in every single corner of the world, and it all starts with one critical choke point.
It all comes down to the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow strip of water is, you could argue, the most important shipping lane on the planet for energy. About a fifth, 20% of all global oil passes right through it. So by threatening ships and creating what's basically a blockade, Iran has effectively turned off the tap.
And Iran is making its intentions perfectly clear. A spokesperson for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued this very direct threat, basically laughing off any attempts to stabilize the market and predicting oil prices could more than double to $200 a barrel. So the key takeaway here is this isn't just a military tactic, it's straight-up economic warfare. The market's reaction was, as you can imagine, immediate and brutal. Brent crude, that's the big international benchmark, it was trading around $85 a barrel before the war. In the days that followed, it surged to nearly $120. That's a jump of almost 50%, a shock that rippled through the global economy literally overnight.
So the international response has been on an absolutely unprecedented scale. To counter that price shock, the International Energy Agency, or the IEA, agreed to this massive, coordinated release of 400 million barrels of oil from its members' strategic reserves. Now, to put that number in perspective for you, that's more than double the amount released after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This is a huge, huge deal.
And the impact goes way beyond what you pay at the gas pump. It's affecting everyone in ways you might not expect. Airlines are jacking up ticket prices because jet fuel is so expensive. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is in total turmoil, with Iran pulling out and Iraqi qualifiers facing logistical nightmares. And Qatar, a huge exporter of natural gas, has declared it can't fulfill its LNG contracts. So from travel to sports to heating your home, the effects are everywhere.
All right, so now let's pivot to the political fallout, because this is where things get even more complicated.
This war isn't just creating chaos in the markets, it's fracturing alliances that have stood for decades and creating really deep political divisions.
Right here in the United States, Democrats in the Senate are publicly breaking with the administration. They're demanding hearings because, to them, there are no clear objectives. Over in Europe, it's even more stark. Spain has condemned the war, called it unjustified, and pulled its ambassador from Israel. Meanwhile, the UK and Spain's own far-right Vox party are backing the military action. So there is no united Western front on this.
And at the same time, other global powers are making their positions known. North Korea, for instance, was really quick to condemn the U.S.-Israeli attack as illegal and publicly stated it respects Iran's rapid choice of a new supreme leader. What you're seeing is the hardening of geopolitical blocs in response to this crisis.
Which, brings us all the way back to that central, nagging question. With the world in turmoil and the fighting getting more intense by the day, what exactly is the goal here? What does victory even look like?
And the way this war is being fought is also raising a lot of new questions. The U.S. military has confirmed it's using advanced AI tools to sift through just massive amounts of data and speed up decision-making. But with all these reports of high civilian casualties, the use of this brand new technology in a real-world conflict is coming under some really intense scrutiny.
Officially, here's what the White House is saying. They've outlined the sheer scale of the operation, over 5,000 targets hit in Iran. At the same time, they're acknowledging a military investigation into a truly catastrophic strike on a girls' school that killed around 175 students. And, pretty ominously, the possibility of sending in ground troops. That's still on the table.
And here it is, the stated goal, straight from the White House press secretary. The war will end when President Trump determines Iran has reached a state of unconditional surrender. Now that's a term with a whole lot of historical weight, and it sets an incredibly high bar for ending this thing. So that's really the ultimate question we're all left with, isn't it? In a world this complex, when a nation's leadership gets replaced in a single day, when retaliation sparks a regional and economic firestorm that touches everyone, what does unconditional surrender even look like in the 21st century? And more importantly, what will be the cost of finding out?